I am Daniel Adam Fink, the bibliologist. In this presentation, I will be showing a map which has already been published in a scientific article, as well as additional supporting evidence which shows the exact location and nature of the Exodus crossing. Here you see the map I was referring to. On the left, we have the map as presented, including the key. This is important because all of the names which are mentioned in the key are key locations which directly explain exactly where and what the Exodus route is. On the right, you can see it blown up. The following slide is going to look a little busy because it has the map on the left with the key, the map on the right blown up, and additional information. This is because all evidence to the Exodus route supports other evidence. Here you can see, as I was explaining, the map looks rather busy, but I will go slowly through each item. At the top left, the information was originally presented by the late Bruce Trigger in 1983. This particular map and article and key was published by two archaeologists, Professors Mumford and Parchak. What's amazing is this not only presents the way of the Philistines, which was avoided, the way of the Red Sea wilderness, which is the Exodus route entirely, the exact pinpoint locations all along this way, as well as the reason why we are sure of the exact meaning of Exodus 14, where they turned back. So, on the left we have the map and the key. All of these names are stops on these ways. There were 4 ways across Sinai. The way of Shur is traveled extensively and exclusively throughout Genesis. Here we have 2 other ways. So on the right, in the magenta, the way of the Philistines was known to Egyptians as the way of Horus. And you can see below the bracket, the magenta bracket, on the left side we have 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. These are the cities along the way. These are major cities, including 9, Pi-Ramesses, that is Ramesses. That's Avaris, Hotwaret, which was the capital of Hyksos, Egypt, one of the most important cities throughout human history. More cities leading toward Sin, which is Pelusium, and then across northern Sinai to Philistia, ending on the right in the magenta 21, that's Azah, present Gaza. So that is the way which the Bible clearly states is avoided. So instead, we go back to the left side of that magenta bracket. Directly to the left of the corner, we see the word Pi-Ramesses. That's what the city is called in this key on this map in the article. That's Ramesses. That's the capital city of Hyksos, Egypt, Goshen, Goshen. From there, the arrow, the first red arrow, points to a number 25, then 26 and 27. That's Sakat, Cheku. That is the Wadi Tumilat, which is where the Exodus route begins. Now, meaning, Ramesses, the land of Ramesses, which is the plain of Sa'an later in the Bible, is the Hyksos heartland, full of half of the cities in Egypt which have ever been named in the Bible. That is exactly where they are located. Now, if you look in the map on the right, and you see a blue line in the middle on the left side, look directly up from there and you'll see 3 green circles. The number 5 is missing. That number 5 is Memphis, the capital of Lower Egypt, which is northern Egypt, very often the capital of all of Egypt. Next we have 6, which is where the pyramids are. That is Giza, where the Sphinx is located. 7 is Tel al-Yehuda. We also find there On, Heliopolis. That's Per Atum, the house of Atum, Pithom. So the Great Sun Temple, which the Sphinx and the pyramid complex are directly lined up with, the most important temple in all of the ancient historical world is On. So On is the Sun Temple, the house of Atum, Pithom. So Pithom means the capital region. Cairo is there today. Pithom means capital district. Ramesses is Goshen. That's the meaning of Pithom and Ramses. So when you have someone trying to explain how a very small defunct campsite, such as Tel Rataba, Tel Maskuta, is supposed to be the place where 600,000 men, not including women and children and dependents, were supposed to be coming from an outpost, that has never been anything close to what the Bible is saying. Pithom and Ramesses are the population centers of the Hyksos world. Now, we're going to go back to that first red arrow. You can never understand, I'm sorry, this is an aside, but it's a great explanation. You can never understand a location or a meaning in the Bible without understanding the entire meaning and how it relates to everything else. Now we see all of these red dots, these red circles leading toward Mount Sinai. So the furthest down at the bottom, the furthest south red circles, which you see 56 and 57, those are going to and from the mountain itself, Mount Sinai. Then from there, the next numbers we're going to see up the Gulf of Eilat on the right side of the map are leading to Eilat and Aqaba. So Aqaba is where this route, the route of Sinai, ends. This particular way, this route, during the Roman era was the Roman roads toward Sinai, where they had copper mines and turquoise mines. During this time of biblical history, Rome was a village, and this was an extraordinarily ancient and important route for Egyptians. That's what we're actually talking about here in the Bible. The way from the capital, which at that time was Avaris, Ramesses, to Mount Sinai, and from there to Aqaba, and then on to Edom and Moab. Now, we're going to go to these quotes from the Bible and what they mean in relation to the exact precise nature and the precise route presented on this map by archaeologists Professors Mumford and Parchak. So in the center of the slide we have names. In Hebrew, there is no word Exodus. Exodus is a Greek word. It's not entirely relevant. It's called names. You're always going to understand the Bible better when you regard the fact that it is recorded in Hebrew or Aramaic or Greek. English always makes things difficult, especially when you consider people make mistakes with their translations. So you may be used to something other than my direct translation, because there are many errors in translation. Now, names, Exodus 12:37, and the sons of Yasher-El. So Yasher is righteous. El literally means deity, God, how you want to prefer to, the righteous deity. That is actually the meaning of Yasher-El. Over time, thousands of years, the names has been morphed into Yisrael, Israel, but this is Yasher-El. Journeyed from Ramesses to Sukkot, 600,000 footmen, a side dependence. So we are going from the land of Ramesses, all of Goshen, many cities, which you will see later are all clustered together. Next we have names, 1320, and they departed from Sukkot and encamped in Atam at the edge of the wilderness. So Sukkot is the Wadi Tumilat. When you see numbers 25, 26, 27, and 28, that was called Cheku or Cheka by the Egyptians. That is Sukkot. Now we get to the key. Number 14, names 14:2. Declare to the sons of Yashar'el and turn back. This is what people had never truly understood. Why turn back? And encamp before the face of the mouth of the sedges, between Migdal, and here we have confusion. Which Migdal? There's 3 Migdal, there's 5 Migdal, because it means the wall, the protective wall, the border on the east of Egypt proper. You can see that wall on this slide, wall of the ruler, going all along what is now the Suez Canal. This is the edge of the easy to inhabit eastern border of Egypt. The entire border, the entire line of fortifications is Migdal. Where would the Migdal end? You don't have a wall where you have a road or a crossing, a route, a way. That is actually what Migdal means. Back to the quote. Sedges between Migdal fortification and the sea facing Baal Tzafon, Lord of the North. We're going to show overwhelming evidence, which is already agreed upon by scholars, of what is Baal Tzafon, where it declines unto the sea. Next, 14:3, and Pharaoh will say that the sons of Yashar'el are in confused clamor in the land, shut in by the wilderness. When we get to see the actual physical mountain, you will understand completely what that means. Now, what's really important is, if you look where the blue line goes to a bracket and a pair of arrows, where is the turning point? You see numbers which go from 31 to 33 and 34. That is the way. When you have serious deserts, as we do in Egypt, there is a way. There are not multiple ways which people travel. There's a way. So this is the one way from Suez down the western side of the Gulf. And then they turn around and go down the eastern side of the Gulf of Suez. That's exactly what this verse means. And you can see it right here numbered. You see 33 and 34, then it ends. 35 is on the east side. So when this map was made, it was made based on travel routes and stopping places, completely not regarding the Bible, yet this is the map which explains exactly what Exodus 14 in the Bible is saying. That is why they turned around at that point, because that's the way. Not one of many ways, that's the one way, which existed for so many thousands of years. Then we go to the next quote. Names, Exodus 14:22, and the sons of Yashar'el came within the sea on dry land, and the waters walled them on their right and their left. So when we look at the blue line going to the bracket, number 31, that is the Exodus crossing spot right there. Always is, always was, always has been the way which goes from Egypt proper to Mount Sinai. So all of these years, people with confusion and arrows that lead in crazy ways around the map and question marks, they just simply did not understand the true nature of Exodus 14, which is plain as day shown on this map and in further slides. Next, names 14:22. And Moshe made Yashar'el to depart from the Red Sea, and they went forth into the wilderness of Shur. And they walked 3 days in the wilderness and found no water. 1423, and they came to Marat, which in the Bible says Maratha, Marat being Marah. And they were unable to drink the water from Marah, which is bitter. Marim, that's the word bitter, like Maror, which you have in the Pesach, Passover celebration. Thus the name was called Marah. So, for a very long time, people have been confused and speculating where Marah might be. These are only Western researchers. In Egypt, Marah is referred to as Moses Springs. It has had that one exact precise name for thousands of years, just like Sinai and Mount Sinai. Many persons put out confusing explanations based on misunderstanding, where they try to explain how the mountain of Mount Sinai is not in Sinai and that it is in Saudi Arabia, things like this. Unfortunately, that confuses so many people. That would be like saying that the Florida Panhandle is not in Florida. It's the Florida Panhandle. It's in Florida. The mountain of Sinai is in Sinai. So, on the one hand, we have the frustration of dealing with a lot of explanation noise which has existed. But what I have to present to you now is complete understanding of everything. And I will further explain how we are absolutely sure that every single word that I present on my maps and in my presentations is completely accurate. Then once you understand that it's true, we actually have the advantage of moving forward with full understanding of the Bible in our century. Here we move into the amazing reality and understanding of the Bible. We're going to be showing first satellite image courtesy of Google Maps, so you can understand that I am presenting in the most simple terms everything in the Bible. And then after this slide I will show terrain view, because it's very difficult to read names on this particular satellite view of Google Maps. Let's begin at the very top center of the map. The very first number 1, top center toward the right, is Tel Defuna. That's Tachfenches. You might be used to seeing it as what looks like Ta Panches in English, because English is arguably the worst language to understand the Bible, honestly, but I speak English, so I'm with you. I will explain. Next, to the left, slightly down center, top center of the entire map, Zona de Goshen. That is Ramesses, P. Ramesses, Tel Daba. That is the actual capital of Exodus, Egypt, right there. And you can see it's called Zona de Goshen. That is the central city of Goshen. Goshen. Next, down and to the left, Zagazig. That is Bubastis Piboset. So why am I showing multiple cities? That is the true meaning of the land of Ramesses, where these cities are clustered, were the cities where West Asians dwelt for 400 plus years in Egypt. This is where they lived. The reason being, not only were they the most major cities, but they were also the most on the way to and from West Asia. That is the era of the Hyksos. Continuing down from Zagazig toward, on the left side of the map, Cairo. Northeast up and to the right of Cairo, Heliopolis Obelisk. That's Heliopolis, that's On. That is the actual city with the temple, House of Atum, Pithom. That is the specific location of Pithom. And then down from there and slightly to the left, the other one, that's Memphis. That's where the Great Pyramids are. That was the great city of Lower Egypt. And you can see that there are two cities on either side of Cairo. Cairo has always been the place where the channel of the Nile and the Nile Delta meet, making it often the most convenient place to have a capital of Egypt. So Pithom is the capital district. Memphis and Heliopolis. Ramesses, that's Goshen. Goshen, the eastern delta. So when you hear Pithom and Ramses, that's what they actually mean. And you can see there's a road, a route, and a branch of the Nile, which leads directly between them. Always has. So this is the area where the Exodus comes from. And then you can see a number 2 toward the top center. That is Sukkot, Chaka. That's called the Wadi Tumilat. It is the most natural road. Always bear in mind, Hebrews have herds, sheep, goats, cows, camels, donkeys, and humans. We all need water. So every travel route is always going to be traveling along water sources. Everywhere where you see green on this map is the easiest way to travel so that you can keep your herds eating and drinking. That's always key to keep in mind. Keep in mind logistics, the reality. Now, these blue dots go to the east, and then you hit what is now the Suez Canal. East of the Suez Canal is sandy desert. That's short. That is the wilderness, the Midbar. From Serapeum, we go south along the Great Bitter Lakes, and then we hit the area where the actual Exodus 14 turning about and the Exodus crossing is located. So in the bottom right, we have numbers 3, 4, and 5. Number 3, this is the encampment where they encamp in the wilderness before they turn around. Number 4, that's the Exodus crossing spot itself. And number 5, Moses Spring, Marah. Now keep your eye on where is green and tan on this map, because on the next map you're going to see that the green is represented as a lighter green, but on a much easier to see slide for reading names. Now that we are looking at Google Maps in terrain view, everywhere that is light green, as we showed on the previous slide, is the location of water and vegetation. This makes Sukkot entirely more understandable. The location of the land of Ramesses and Pithom on the sides of the slope and the Nile River. That explains why that's where the cities are located. That's where the Nile water source and vegetation and crops are located. So at the top, we have Ramesses, the land of Ramesses, multiple cities. That's the land of Ramesses. Ramesses itself is the capital city. The land of Ramesses is a collection of cities and the hinterland, the crops which support each city. On the left of the map is Pithom, the capital district of Heliopolis, Tel Yehuda, and Memphis. Then we have a route which leads from that entire area through the Wadi Tumilat, Sukkot. Then you hit the area which is now the Suez Canal, Ismailia and Serapeum, coming down along the Bitter Lakes to the key places in question. So Migdal is the fortification, the tower, the border wall, the walls of the ruler. On the right, that is the meaning of Migdal. A very large number of Hebrews is going to cross south of, north of, around the wall. In this case, south of. At the end of the fortifications, we are at modern Suez. Every time you have something in the Bible, it is always going to make the most sense possible. It's never going to be a crossing in the middle of nowhere at something no one has ever heard of. This is Suez. We've all heard of it. It's the world's most famous canal, and that's the exact crossing spot of the Exodus. So, Atam, you can see on the west, left, and on the right, east, because Atam is mentioned multiple times in the Bible, being where the Hebrews encamped before crossing and where they traveled after crossing. On either side of the flow, this brackish, salty flow from these bitter lakes to the Red Sea, that is Atam. Now, Baal Zephon is the mountain, Ataka Mountain, which we're going to go into greater detail on the next slide. This is the most significant mountain in this entire area. To keep this in perspective, I am from eastern Pennsylvania. This peak would be the highest peak in all of eastern Pennsylvania. If this peak was in eastern Pennsylvania, it would be a national park. It's a very prominent peak. The slope of this cliff, as you will see on the next slide, is so significant that the entire continent of North America east of the Rocky Mountains has nothing which compares. That is how important is Baal Zephon. Then we have number 4, that's the actual crossing. The most logical and historical crossing from Egypt to Sinai for the entirety of human history. And directly afterward, the first stop in the Exodus, Moses' Spring, Marah. At this point, the Exodus becomes fascinating, fun, enjoyable to learn, and even more enjoyable to understand. On the left, we have the stops on Google Maps. At the bottom left, you can see a red circle. The entire travel is flat until you approach Baal Zephon, Ataka Mountain at 870 meters. That is the significant height on the entirety of the span from the Nile until you hit the mountains of Sinai. So let's go to the map itself. On the physical map, the left side, we see Baal Zephon, Ataka Mountain. And on the right, the eastern side of this mountain is a cliff. It is extremely prominent, extremely significant. That is Baal Zephon. Then, at the very center of the map, directly left of the sea itself, Adabia Port. Adabia is the encampment in the wilderness of Atam, which is between Baal Zephon, the sea, and the crossing. You can actually see on this map the nature, significance, and importance. That's the end of the line on the west side of the Red Sea, on the Gulf of Suez. Beyond there, you enter inhospitable desert where you would never lead anyone. So this is the natural end of the line, the turning point right there, Adabia. Directly between the Red Sea and the cliff of the mountain. At this point, we travel to the crossing. What is now the modern Suez Canal. The top, you see the words Atam and Migdal. This is where the Exodus crossing was. So, at the very top where you see Al-Shat al-Suez ferry, that is now the ferry location where the ancient route would have been, the ancient route would have been slightly further south because the topography and the flow of the area has been altered since the Suez Canal. It's the Suez crossing. Clysma, Arsinoe, the ancient cities of the crossing, that is the specific place where the way of the Red Sea wilderness crosses. That's the most important spot. As you travel, you're going to have to cross to the other side. That is the specific location around what is modern Suez. Atam, in multiple Bible verses being on either side. This wilderness where brackish waters flow from the bitter lakes to the Red Sea on either side is Atam. And then, as you know, in the Bible, immediately after crossing the Red Sea, we have the songs of praise at Marah, Moses Springs. It is now called Moses Springs. On the right, number 5 south of there, you see a resort called Musa Coast. This is the specific location of Marah and has been for all these years. Now, understanding the Mumford and Parchak map, the true meaning and nature of Adabya Port underneath the major mountain and cliff slope Baal Tzafon, all of the names which had been confused or misunderstood, or usually the turning around had been completely not understood whatsoever, it now makes so much sense and is so conclusive that once we have established and proven the meaning, we can blaze forward with complete understanding of the Bible and move toward a present where we completely understand everything in the Bible, the names, their locations, and more importantly, their meanings. If you have made it through this entire presentation up to this point, congratulate yourself. You have an understanding which has been lost for 2 millennia. You have a long attention span, which not everyone has, but this is the only time that the missing meanings of Exodus will ever be explained. And now that you understand them, you will never need them explained again. So we revisit these maps with a complete understanding of what they actually portray. Back to the right, when you look at the green circles on the left, understanding that is the true meaning of Pithom. This was the Hebrew population of the capital district. Then we go northeast up and to the right of there, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. That is Goshen, the cities of the land of Ramesses. Next, from Ramesses, we have the Wadi Tumilat, and all of these red dots pointing precisely down to Suez, the crossing. The blue bracket and the blue arrows is the encampment in Atam and the turning around point. From there, the red circles lead from Suez to Mount Sinai. The senses that help you the most understanding the Bible are common sense, horse sense, things like that. You're always going to have an overwhelming amount of evidence, and you can never present all of it. However, this map right here is the greatest evidence of exactly what Exodus 14 means. Now that you understand, you are completely clear of where the Exodus comes from at the beginning, Pithom and Ramses, the crossing, and to Marah. That's stations 1 through 5 as named in Numbers. Going from station 5 to station 12, Mount Sinai, is going to be completely easy, understandable, everything is obvious, and now you see this map as published by Mumford and Parchak, showing quite clearly the Exodus route.